morning, everyone. I'm always delighted to be here and to talk about things that are happening in our schools and in our lunch program. And I'm going to basically give you a little education about one of our more new initiatives under what is called, or was called the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act. So, all right, so just bringing it back a little bit. This whole thing came about, and the reason we're having these discussions is that 1 in 4 Wisconsin adolescents are either overweight or obese, and I don't think that's anything new for anyone out here. We still work on getting kids to eat fruits and vegetables, and part of, you heard the Farm to School grant that we have, and I've been working a whole lot with Rethink to try to get fresh fruits and vegetables in our schools, but not only ours, but Winnebago in general, and that means Omro and Winneconne. So we're trying to make that look a little better, that statistics. And then our high school students eat less than 1 vegetable a day, so not so good there. So backing it up, at 2010, I can't believe I've been talking about this for 5 years already. In December of 2010, Obama signed what is called the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act. There have been many initiatives. Usually they come to us about once a year. We've had to make major changes in the National School Lunch Program, where we're limiting calories and sodium, fat, and then we made changes in the breakfast program last fall, and just recently we had to put in place what is called Smart Snacks in Schools. So the goal of Smart Snacks in Schools is to improve the health and well-being of children, increase the consumption of healthful foods during the school day, and create the environment which reinforces development of healthy eating habits. So basically the whole Smart Snacks in Schools went into place starting this past fall. And you can probably imagine the difficulty in all of this stuff is, in the National School Lunch Program, the breakfast program, we have very strict guidelines of what we can offer to kids to make the meals healthy. But then the rest of the school day, anybody can sell anything they want to kids. So it made our world very difficult, and also was a great incentive for kids not to participate in the National School Lunch Program because they can buy a donut or whatever from somebody else. And oftentimes it was a whole lot cheaper than what we needed to sell it for. So all the foods under what's called the Smart Snacks in Schools applied to all the foods that we actually sell in our a la carte program, because we have National School Lunch Program, we have National Breakfast Program, but we also sell things like we might sell a bag of healthy grain chips, or we could sell an extra apple to a student, or we could sell an extra milk to a student. Those are all considered a la carte foods. Foods in the school store. A lot of our school stores not only sell pencils and pens and fun things like t-shirts and sweatshirts, but they also sell cookies. A lot of times Otis Spunkmeyer, and they were the really big ones. Vending machines. Vending machines are, there's usually a vending machine, one in our elementary schools, which are mostly for adults, which is fine. Middle schools have always had vending machines. Usually those are beverages that are available to our middle school students. And in the high school, you have a whole gamut of vending machines. And usually this money is going to a particular organization within that building to fund their activities, whatever that is. And of course, there's all kinds of fundraising going on, whether it's the American Breast Association, the American Cancer Association, American Heart Association. Those folks all come to the schools, and they're either giving kids incentives of some kind. So if they do like a penny war, and then whoever gets the most pennies, they end up with some kind of a prize at the end. So those kind of fundraisers are going on all the time. Plus, there are kids raising money for their particular organization, whether it's the math club or the Spanish club or whatever. So Smart Snacks in Schools actually came about because of these things, the problems with the donuts being offered as rewards. It's kind of ironic how the American Heart Association would do something like jump rope for heart and some of these other activities, and then the incentive was your classroom will get a tray of donuts. It was just like, that just didn't make any sense to me. So we've been working with those organizations to try to change that out a little bit. Candy bar fundraisers, and I jokingly call it the mobile candy bar cart at West High School. Between classes, there was a cart fully stacked with all kinds of goodies, and every week a different group of kids got to drive this cart around and basically make all the money for this cart. This cart lovingly made about $30,000 a year, but it was also all bad things for kids. So it was a very well-liked mobile candy bar cart. And then, of course, we always had these celebrations and things, particularly in our elementary schools, where you would have, you know, whatever activity. DARE is an excellent example, and I love DARE and have always thought it was a great cause. Well, we've actually did some shifting so that the incentive then for all of that wasn't always going to be a cake, and the reward at the end now is something more healthy for kids. So Smart Snacks in Schools actually looks at all these individual little items. So you think of a bag of potato chips, or a bag of Sun chips is kind of common, a bag of pretzels. So there are requirements for this food now. So you have to take a single bag, you have to analyze it. Is this a grain? Is this a whole grain? That means 51% of that grain in there needs to be actual whole grain. And the label will actually say, the first ingredient will say either 100% or it'll say whole right on it. That's a good starting point. If you've gotten that far, then you can look at the rest of this. Or it must be a fruit, vegetable, dairy product, or protein. So easy, you know, an apple, a banana, those are always excellent snacks for kids. In all of these items, there were standards. There are standards for calories and sodium, sugar, and fat. Calories have to be less than 200. Sodium has to be less than 200. Fat has to be less than 30%. So all those things have to be looked at before you can basically offer that snack in school. Accompaniments have to be considered that go along with it. So you think of a bagel as being a great snack, and if it's whole grain, if it's not over 200 calories, you know, I'm not thinking about some of the great big ones from like Big Apple bagels. They're usually a little bit smaller than that. But you have to consider the fact that it goes either with cream cheese, jelly, or peanut butter too. That all has to be included in the calories. And as the other standard always is beverages, so that the beverages have been severely restricted in schools actually for a number of years now, and this simply reinforces all of that. So food that is sold in schools to students outside of the National School Lunch Program have to meet these requirements. So gone are the days when that mobile candy bar cart could drive around with candy bars. It has a lot of other good things on it now that they're selling to kids. Fundraiser, this was a big discussion because we count on fundraising for our students to do a lot of activities. And at West High alone, and I'm sure this is a kind of common in a lot of other high schools, we have some 82 organizations. And I think we all know that if we can get kids to either participate in an organization or athletically or whatever it is, they perform better, they do better, they turn out to be better people all around because they have those experiences. But that takes money. So the whole fundraising issue became quite a challenge because how do you make this money if you can't sell these things to kids? And it caused people to basically look at all kinds of different things and what they could sell to kids and how they could get around it. So the door is wide open. They can sell, if it meets those nutritional standards, they can sell anything they want. If that food item they want to sell meets the standards, they can sell it at any time during the day. So that's all fine, well, and dandy. The foods that I call are naughty or exempt foods, those can be sold after school hours, so after 4 o'clock, and they can be, and anything off campus can be sold as well. So if at the football game they want to sell, you know, soda and bags of potato chips, that's fine. That's after school hours, there's no problem there. And if the function happens to take these children to an off-site place, that's okay too. Then they can sell foods that do not fall within those nutritional standards. There's a special exemption. So the government realized that at some point we should be able to sell these so-called naughty foods to kids. So the government gave us this idea of infrequent. And unfortunately, the difficulty was the government left that up to the state agency, and the state agency left it up to the local districts. So we really struggled with that, but I think we came to a really good conclusion. So in addition to all of this stuff, this all became part of our school wellness policy, and we kind of knew it was coming down, so we started real early with the whole thing. Like I said, in 2010, the whole Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act came about. And we knew we had to do, it was actually in July 1st of 2014, we had to have our snack rule in place. So they kind of started talking about it in 2000, when I say they, the government talked about this in 2013, gave us some of the rules and regulations. We actually had a wellness committee, and we have a fairly active wellness committee in Oshkosh schools. It includes, we have some parents, we have dietitians, we have principals, we have board members, we have students, and we probably met 3 to 4 times a year. And at that point, this whole fundraising issue, we kind of left it without, at that point, guidance from the state to be principal discretion. And the principals did a marvelous job by being really closed on it. So they kept it really, only healthy things could be sold to kids during the day. And I appreciate that, because it can only get better from there. So then the state agencies finally, in April, after we'd kind of gotten all this thing set, came up with their idea of what infrequent meant. And infrequent in their mind was 2 fundraisers per organization per year. Well, my heart really sank with that, and I was on the phone a whole lot because, like I said, at West High, they have some 82 organizations. So that really meant that those 82 organizations could have 2 fundraisers per year, and if they were only a day apiece, they could actually sell donuts right outside my office door for like 160 some odd days. I just didn't think that was going to be right. So I challenged all of that a lot, but that's how it came down. Now, that's such a big deal for elementary schools. They don't have a lot of organizations, so, but very difficult for the high schools to be doing that. So this is the whole thing in May, actually, is when this all kind of came about, the 2 allowed per year, and we had actually had approval then on our wellness policy. So we're going to have to actually go back to the board and do some cleanup work. But I was glad we did what we did. We had things in place. Let's see, November, I got to think about this. The Wellness Committee reconvened. After we got this state guidelines, we came back and we said, you know, I can't tolerate this. I don't think I can handle somebody selling donuts outside my office door that many days. So what do you think if we went back to our schools and said, what if we told them or gave them a limit of providing 40 days of non-compliant snacks throughout the school year, however they wanted to use it at the high school level? And so we made that presentation. Then we did middle schools, we did 20 days, and elementary schools we did 10 days. And of course we got a little, they didn't think that that was so great. And I said, let's go back, why don't you go back and find out what the other schools are doing? And interestingly, a lot of the other schools in our entire state hadn't done a thing, with the exception of Appleton, who always seems to be a little ahead of that whole game. But once it was all said and done, they came back and they said, you know, I think that's a pretty good deal. So it ended now with our high schools are allowed to have 40 exempt days. Now they can still sell anything they want as long as it meets the good guidelines, but if it doesn't, they're limited to 40 days. I think I can live with 40 days. So that's a little bit about the whole DARE thing, is that traditionally cake has been served. And now actually with the new day business, we could actually allow our elementary schools to go back to cake. So, but we're not kind of going to put that out there, because we actually had a school do these great fruit kebabs for kids. And of course, you know, ideally or from the beginning, kids are a little like, oh, we don't really like that. But in the end, you can see these kids, they just actually love these fruit kebabs. So yay for them for breaking that mold and providing some healthy treat for a great graduation there. So basically, I know this doesn't have a whole lot to do with what you need to be working on right now, but it's just to inform you, and any support you can provide for these kinds of healthy things for kids is greatly appreciated, because it's sometimes very difficult to get healthy foods into kids and getting them to believe that it's good for them. So, and I believe that's it.